Okay, let's have the discussion for biochemistry. This is the study of chemical substances found in living organisms and their interactions with each other. So, may dalawang klase ng biochemical substances sa katawan ng tao. These are bioinorganic, bioinorganic, and bioorganic substances. For this course, ang focus natin ay itong bioorganic, which includes protein, lipids, carbohydrates, nucleic acid. So for the whole semester, ito at saka yung mga interactions nila ang ating aaralan. Nevertheless, meron din naman tayong itong bioinorganics, hindi rin dapat natin siya uh, they are of equal importance with bioorganic. However, hindi natin sila i-discuss for this course. Okay? So, when we say bioinorganic, they do not contain carbon atoms. And for organic, they contain carbon. The inorganic substances are water and inorganic salts. Okay, so ano yung mga inorganic salts? Mga calcium carbonate, mga magnesium-based ions or substances. Okay, as you could see with the percentage, pinakamadami ay water. About 70% of human body is water. Next would be protein, 15%. And next would be the lipids or fats. And followed by the inorganic salts at konti lang yung carbs and nucleic acid, about 2%. Okay, so the first that we're going to discuss, the first bioorganic substance that we're going to discuss for this course would be carbohydrates. Okay, carbohydrate is the most abundant class of inorganic molecules. Though sa human body, parang 2% lang siya kanina, 2%, pero in totality, ang carbohydrates ang pinakamadami among all bioorganic substances. Bakit? Kasi 75% by mass of a dry materials ay or dry plant materials ay carbohydrates. So, with carbohydrates in plants, siya yung pinaka most abundant class of bioorganic molecules. And how do these plants produce carbohydrates? Of course, with a process known as photosynthesis. Okay, so the plant needs carbon dioxide, water, solar energy with some plant enzymes and chlorophyll. They were able to produce carbohydrates and of course generate oxygen. In plant, carbohydrates have their main uses. It could be for structural. And anong klaseng carbohydrate yan? That's cellulose. Or it could be for energy reserves for the plant in the form of the carbohydrate starch. However, pagdating sa tao, human, ang function niya, okay, so it could provide, a carbohydrate could provide energy. They are also used for short-term energy reserve in the form of glycogen. Also, carbohydrates supply carbon atoms for the synthesis of other biochemical substances such as protein, lipids, and nucleic acid. So, since maraming carbon atoms sa carbohydrates, pwede silang ma-synthesize or ma-convert into these other bioorganic molecules. Also, carbohydrate is a part of the structural framework of the genetic materials DNA and RNA molecules. Also, carbohydrates being linked to lipids functions as the structural component of the cell membrane. When carbohydrate is linked to a protein, So it is having a function of the cell-to-cell or cell molecules recognition processes. Okay? So by definition, carbohydrates is a polyhydroxy. Okay, so kaya nag-review or nag-recall tayo ng mga organic molecules because we have to have a stable or a wide understanding kung ano tong mga terms na to. Polyhydroxy. When you say have polyhydroxy, madaming OH group. Okay, polyhydroxy means there would be hydroxyl group, aldehyde, and polyhydroxyketone. So there are two groups for the carbohydrates. Could either be polyhydroxyaldehyde and polyhydroxyketone. So recall natin anong difference ng aldehyde and ketone. Ang pinagkaiba lang nila ay yung position ng carbonyl group nila. The C double bond O. Okay, the carbonyl group. Or this could also be, carbohydrate could also be any compound that yields this polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone upon hydrolysis. And it will have a general formula of CnH2n, CnH2nON. Okay? So this is only for simple carbohydrates. Hindi na pwede itong general formula na ito if ang pinag-uusapan natin ay mga disaccharides kaya or higher version ng mga carbohydrates. This general formula na CnH2nON is only for monosaccharides. What are the example of carbohydrates? So you have glucose, fructose. So makikita natin sa pangalan nila, they ends with OSE to denote that usually those carbohydrates ends with OSE. So makikita natin kung anong group nila, and OSE indicates that they are, a suffix OSE indicates that they are under carbohydrates. Now we have several classifications of carbohydrates. Okay, we have monosaccharides. When we say monosaccharide, it only has single. So single polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone. Makikita natin kung ano ba tong sinasabi kong polyhydroxyaldehyde and polyhydroxyketone. Okay? But nevertheless, monosaccharides could not be broken into simpler because it's the simplest form of a carbohydrates. It only has a single polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone on its structure. And then the naturally occurring monosaccharides usually has 3 to 4 carbon atoms, so naturally occurring. And for those with 5 to 6 carbon atoms, they are the common ones. Okay? The Latin word for sugar is saccharum. Okay? That's why you have monosaccharide. That saccharide came from the Latin word saccharum. Mono means one. So that's the single polyhydroxy or polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone. Now, for monosaccharide, we have different classifications. And the classification is according to its functional group. Kasi sabi natin kanina, monosaccharides are single polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxyketone. Those structure who follows the aldehyde format will be known as aldose. Okay, so aldehyde, aldose. And the OSE, syempre, yun yung sinasabi ko kaninang suffix ng mga carbohydrates, OSE. And if the structure follows to that of ketone, then therefore, they would be classified as ketose. Okay? Another classification of monosaccharide would be according to the number according to the number of carbon atoms. Naalala natin kanina, if uh, the naturally occurring are those with 3 to 4 carbon atoms, and those that are common are 5 to 6. So if there is only 3 carbon atom, that would be known as triose or triose, 4 for tetrose, 5 for pentose, and 6 for hexoses. Okay, so the tri means 3, and the OSE is the suffix for all carbohydrates. So madali lang maalala kasi 3, tri, tetra, 4, pent is 5, and hex is 6. Okay. Sa monosaccharide, so we have here the list of monosaccharides. So we have a triose, may dalawa lang klase. These are glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone. Glyceraldehyde is an aldose, and dihydroxyacetone is a ketose. Tetrose, the tetroses are erythrose and triose. For ketose naman ay erythrulose. For pentoses, we have ribose, arabinose, xylose, lysose. Then you have ribose and cellulose. Hexoses, so madami. Okay, so andito na si fructose, yan yung fruit sugar. Okay, so we have allose, altrose, glucose, mannose, gulose, idose, galactose, talose, psychose, sorbose, and tagatose. So madaming examples or madaming existing monosaccharides. Okay, so if you have to classify uh, glyceraldehyde, it is a it is an aldohexose. Sorry, for if you're going to classify, not the glyceraldehyde, sorry, if you're going to classify glucose, okay, nakalagay dyan na glucose is an aldohexose. So, asan ba si glucose? This is glucose. It is an aldose, at the same time, it is hexose. So, classification according to the number of carbon atom as well as to the existing functional group. So, it is an aldo. Aldo means it has an aldehyde on it. And hexose, it means that it has 6 carbon atoms. So, if you have to classify dihydroxyacetone, this would be a keto-triose. So, pagsasamahin lang natin yung sa classification yung functional group at yung number of carbon atom. So, fructose is a keto kasi nga meron siyang ketone group, or it is under ketone functional group, and meron siyang 6 carbon atoms, so therefore it would be a ketohexose. Okay? To skip lang muna natin ito, balikan natin yung other classification. Para ma-appreciate natin kung ano ba yung sinasabi kong aldose. Okay? So, ito yung structure niya. Nandiyan din sa inyong handout. So, for it to be an aldose, remember that the aldehyde or the carbonyl group should be at the terminal end. So, dapat yung C double bond O, okay, ang aldehyde ay R, C double bond O, H. Okay. So, this group, itong CHO na to, ay nasa dulo. Okay, the carbonyl group C double bond O is only attached to one series of carbon atom R. So, paanong naging aldose ang diglyceraldehyde? Because that functional group C double bond OH is this one. Yang CHO na yan. Actually, halos lahat sila ng aldoses. Yang carbonyl group ay nasa dulo. hindi siya nakasandwich sa in between two carbon atoms. Nasa dulo siya. Yung sinasabi natin kaninang polyhydroxy. Okay, ito naman yon. Madaming hydroxyl group. Okay. So, ito. Madami. Polyhydroxy. Madami siyang hydroxy. Aldehyde. Ito, nandito yung aldehyde. Functional group niya. Yan, sa taas. Okay. So, this, the diglyceraldehyde, erythrose, triose are aldoses. Okay? Meron din tayong triose, tetroses kasi depende yan sa number of carbon atom. For triose, okay, ilan ang kanyang carbon atom? So you have 3. At the same time, it is an aldose. So, ito yung aldehyde group niya. It has polyhydroxy because it has hydroxyl group on the second and third carbon atom. So, this one is the, i-blow up natin si diglyceraldehyde. So, this is the functional group for aldose. The carbonyl is at the end or at the start. This is carbon number 1. This is carbon number 2. And that would be carbon number 3. So that makes it a triose or triose. At the same time, an aldose. So therefore, diglyceraldehyde is an aldotriose. It is a polyhydroxy aldehyde. It has many hydroxyl group. At the same time, the carbonyl is at the terminal end of the structure of the compound. Okay? So, another example. Tignan natin si... Okay. Ano pa ba? Okay, ribose. Let's have ribose. Ribose is to be classified as a pentose. Sorry. It could be classified as a pentose and an aldose at the same time. So, it is an aldopentose. Okay, paano yan? Ito ang ating carbonyl. Nasa dulo siya. That's the C double bond OH. C double bond O. Sorry. C double bond OH. Okay, kaya naging CHO. That's the aldehyde. And it is a polyhydroxy substance. Paano naging 5? This is carbon number 1, carbon 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's ribose. Okay. Now, let's have naman the ketoses. Ketose. Okay. These are the ketose. Ketose, we have dihydroxyacetone. So, this is no longer an aldehyde. These are ketone. Bakit? Kasi yung kanilang carbonyl group, the C double bond O, has been attached to two other series of carbon atoms. So, naka-sandwich sila. So, nasaan ang ating functional group? Ito. Okay. The second carbon atom here is the functional group for ketoses. Ito yan. Yung C double bond O na naka-attach sa neighboring carbon atom. Okay. For others, asan si fructose? Okay, ito. So, those are the functional group C double bond O or the carbonyl for this type of monosaccharides. Polyhydroxy pa rin sila. Kasi kung titignan natin yung structure, madami pa ring mga hydroxyl group na naka-attach on this specific or individual monosaccharide. So, it still fit na ang definition ng carbohydrates are polyhydroxyaldehyde or polyhydroxy ketone. Okay? So those are monosaccharides. We have to go back to the next classification. We have disaccharides. When we say disaccharides, this time there would be two monosaccharide units. So pagsasama-samahin na natin, if there are two monosaccharide, then therefore that would be classified as disaccharides. Okay? Paano sila nagkakaroon? Paano natin na-produce ang mga disaccharides? Because of a condensation reaction into which the two monosaccharides will be covalently bonded. So magkakaroon ng bonding. Aralin natin paano na-produce yung bonding na yan, at specifically ang tawag dyan sa bond ay glycosidic bond. Okay, so in further discussion, madidiscuss natin how this glycosidic bond has been, how these are produced. Next classification would be, oligosaccharides. So this monosaccharide has at least 3 to 10 units. Okay, 3 to 10 monosaccharide units. Still, these 3 to 10 monosaccharides will be covalently bonded through a glycosidic bond or glycosidic linkages. These oligosaccharides are not common to be encountered in nature or in any biochemical system as free. Hindi katulad ni monosaccharides na may makikita kang glucose unit, may makikita kang individual na fructose unit. Okay, pagdating sa mga oligosaccharides, they could not stand alone such that kailangang naka-attach sila sa iba pang mga substances. Okay? If we're talking about a biochemical system. And polysaccharides, on the other hand, has many monosaccharide units. Usually, their count would have hundreds to millions. Okay?